What is a chipset? A chipset is a set of integrated chips which are located in one location. Now, computer engineers designed the chipset like this. Instead of having so many chipsets scattered all over the motherboard, computer engineers designed the chipsets in a way that will be having the chipsets put in a more centralized location. And that's why we have two main chipsets, the North Bridge and the South Bridge. The North Bridge is the North Bridge. It facilitates communication with the upper parts of the motherboard, because a chipset, it facilitates communication communication between the CPU and various parts of the motherboard. So the North Bridge, it helps the upper parts of the motherboard to communicate with the CPU. Upper parts include the CPU, the RAM, the AGP slots. Those are the ones that are the upper parts of the motherboard. They are the ones that are most frequently used by the CPU, and they are the most, as in, delicate parts of the CPU. Those ones are the ones that are usually facilitated by the North Bridge to communicate with the CPU. Now, the South Bridge, it facilitates communication amongst the lower parts of the motherboard with the CPU, because the South Bridge is the one that helps the lower parts of the motherboard to communicate with the CPU. The South Bridge it helps the lower parts of the motherboard to communicate with the CPU this way. The South Bridge, all the lower parts of the South Bridge that include the IDE connectors, the SATA connectors. SATA connectors are those connectors that usually connect the hard disk, the optical drive with the motherboard. Now those SATAs together with the IDE connectors, together with the USB connectors, are the ones that help that are connected to the South Bridge. Then the South Bridge is connected to the North Bridge. Then the North Bridge, it is now connected. It now connects the upper parts of the motherboard, and it's also connected to the CPU. How are these connections? I'm talking of connection between the South Bridge and the North Bridge, connection between the upper parts of the motherboard to the North Bridge to the CPU. These connections are facilitated by buses. Buses are communication paths between various components of the motherboard. There is the address bus, there is the control bus, and there is the data bus. The address bus, it specifies where the data should be sent. Let's say the address of the RAM. This data should be sent to the RAM. So the address of the RAM is this and this. The data bus facilitates now the transmission of the data. The transmission of the data between a component in the motherboard, between the CPU and a component in the motherboard. The control bus specifies which direction is it between the a component in the motherboard to the CPU, or to the CPU to the component in the motherboard. Is it the front or back? Should the data communicate this way or this way? That's the function of the control bus. Now that is the work of the chipsets. Thank you very much.